All right, let's begin the conversation. An intentional government is one that meets the needs of its people where it matters most. The Kaduna State Government is taking a step in that direction. The state government has launched a fleet of compressed natural gas CNG-powered buses across 23 local government areas of the state, providing free transportation for retired workers, students and civil servants under the Kaduna State Subsidized Transport Scheme. Now, the scheme is expected to run free for the first 6 months, after which the public will enjoy a 60% subsidy. Access will also be granted through proper identification, including staff ID cards, school uniforms or pension verification. Now, let's share the story by TVC News journalists with you.
Residents are in a joyous mood as the state government rolls out free bus services in a bid to cushion the impact of rising transport costs. Amid cheers by residents, Governor Sani, accompanied by students, civil servants and senior government officials, boarded one of the vehicles at NDA Junction and rode to Sabo Junction, symbolizing the official commencement of the program.
From primary schools to secondary school up to tertiary institutions of our state will use these buses free, as well as our workers and retirees. And of course, other citizens of Kaduna State will also benefit. They will pay only 40% of the normal cost of transportation. All our buses are computerized, so it's not something that is manual, it's computerized. And when we say we're going to allow people to have 60% subsidy, meaning they can be able to use this card, which will make available to everyone. And of course, you can only see this thing when you go to advanced societies. And Kaduna, we have computerized all our buses.
Pensioners and civil servants who rode around the town with the governor on the launch of the free transport service commended him for keeping to his promise of subsidizing transport in the state. Students say the free transportation will greatly assist in their educational pursuit.
The pensioners in the state are the most vulnerable persons because we are the aged persons. If at least based on the mega pension that we are receiving of 30,000 naira, if the subsidy is being reduced or we are going to enter at least bus free of charge, I think that's one of the best things that the governor can be able to do for this for now.
At times, you don't have money to come to school, maybe transport issues, so this CNG buses will increase, will help students in their transport activities. And for that, thank you, sir. Your Excellency, sir. Thank you.
His Excellency has walked the talking. We just now alighted the bus. We went around, and as I'm talking now, workers are enjoying this, the benefit of this.
The CNG buses have now been designated to operate along several routes, picking up residents from across the 200 bus stops in the state. The state government is now advising commuters to maintain order at the bus stops, warning against rush or jumping of queues. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
And that was a beautiful report from Lupe Asom. Thank you so much for that report. So let's begin this conversation. I'll start with BKO. I mean, BKO, recently you were in Kaduna. What inspired Governor Sani, to prioritize the rollout of CNG buses for not just civil servants, retirees, for students? What inspired it?
Don't forget, you see, his background as an activist and somebody who has empathy must have influenced this tremendously. And as it goes on in his administration, we are going to see even a lot more people-centered policies, except if in those days when he was an activist, he was a pretender. But I have no reason to believe that he was pretending as an activist, because I had known him since then. He used to come to my office. I used to interview him back then, along with my friend Henry Bolwe. So this is somebody that I've known for so long. So as an activist governor, we expect him to do a lot in terms of the welfare of workers, in terms of the welfare of the citizens. So those policies that are people-centered, we will be seeing a lot more of those policies being implemented by his administration. you as a governor, you are not simply to build roads. You are supposed to care about the welfare of the people. There are people in our villages who cannot get their wards through school. If you do your best to ensure that more people can have access to education, more people can have access to healthcare, a lot of the people in the state will appreciate you, and it will not be difficult to sell your candidacy to them. So the governor knows that in many countries of the world, transportation is highly subsidized so that people can move from point A to point B without a dent in their pockets. We see such transportation subsidy implemented in the UK and many countries of the world. They do not take transportation lightly because workers need to be able to go to work so that productivity can improve without necessarily costing and harm and the leg. And this is what we expect more of our state governments and even the federal government to do. Do something about transportation, because a good number of us workers, we are spending a lot of money to get ourselves to work. So kudos to Governor Sani for doing this, and I know that this is deeply appreciated already. I've spoken to some people who have said, no, we are happy, and the buses are very comfortable, so they are modern and really beautiful.
Okay, I mean,
so kudos to.
Okay, all right, CK, looking at this is a beautiful one. In fact, BK said he wasn't even surprised. But as beautiful as this may sound, are there mechanisms in place to make sure that the intended beneficiaries actually benefit from it, you know, to take away without political or bureaucratic bottlenecks?
Well, I have to commend also join BKO in commending the Kaduna State Governor for the gesture. Taking it further, you come to realize that, just as he said, there are some people that spend over 40% of their salary on transportation alone. Since the removal of petroleum subsidies, transportation costs have gone haywire. And for that is why you see at times, you see some organizations say, come today, stay home tomorrow, work virtually, and the rest of most of the time is always transportation. So coming up with this kind of initiative is a very, very, very good gesture. And what even makes it even better is the fact that he has declared that for the next 6 months, it will be free for everybody, retirees, students, civil servants. When they say civil servants, I don't know what of public servants, so I don't know. Because I didn't see public servants, so they should ask public servants, because it should be for everybody. Not for the all-encompassing, not for any category of people. And I just came back from Kaduna, and I was highly impressed with what I've seen, I saw in Kaduna, although I've not been in Kaduna for over 25 years. So when I was impressed. Beautiful city, clean city, at least the city that I visited. And also, the level of security. If there's anything that you have to give to this particular governor, is also how he has been able to bring level of security, to, secure the people of God. Because we knew prior to his coming, this incessant attack that we have hearing, especially Southern Kaduna, especially, that drastically has stopped. So I commend him, and I believe that this will also reflect in other aspects of governance from his part. Just like he was doing, even yesterday, so another organization, I saw that the NMPC also donated 35 CNG buses to the, I'm sure you must have seen that yesterday also. This is the way to go. And my only concern is that, why is this not being done in other states, every other state? That is the factor. Why is it that it's being limited to some certain states? Is it not the same money that these governors receive that Governor Sani is receiving? What are they doing? Most of them have
some are even receiving more than
that. Is where I'm going.
More.
That's where I'm going, because if you put it on the salary, if you put it on the scale, I don't think Kaduna should be around 20. When it goes about 20 or 25 in the hierarchy of the and you see what is doing. So those that are receiving the jumbo pay and
heavily taxed,
what are they doing with their money? What are they doing with the money? That is a question.
He has said it.
It was fast enough to just take
exactly. Why can't this be reciprocated?
I think basically the way we should look at it is this should be the template. It's not something, sorry, I'm of the opinion that whatever government is doing, while we are celebrating some over some, is because some are not doing what is expected. This is normal. This is dividends of democracy. This should be the ideal thing. Especially those of us who are working, we are paying tax to take care of the retirees, the children. Do you understand? So basically, I am not, this is just what do you call it now? This is a representation of good governance. And this should be the template for every state. It's not, because there's no better time to implement this than now.
Absolutely.
When we are dealing with the effect of subsidy, if we go into private sector, like you mentioned, now we are talking about civil servant. What about the private sector?
The private sector.
You and I know how much we bring out to buy fuel daily. I can do the calculation. By the time you talk about the percentage, so companies like ours is also doing something about augmenting the transportation. So it's given. I recall when this issue of subsidy was so tensed in 2012, one of the promises made by the federal government, because I don't want to categorize government after government.
Is a continuum.
What they promise is subsidy on our transportation. Transportation should be, you know, all these issues should be diverted into transportation, should be cut off. And this government has gone further to provide CNG. There's so much talk about CNG. And it makes the cost of transportation less for the provider. So I want to encourage every government. We may not have the list of those who are doing similar things, but the numbers are quite few. And it is advisable that they copy this template.
Okay, maybe just to round off this conversation, BKO, as beautiful as this may sound, how does the state government plan to maintain and even fuel these buses in some local governments where there is, in areas that have limited gas infrastructure? Has the government actually planned that out?
I'm sure they are working on that. Sometimes before you roll out a policy, you have to ask yourself whether it is implementable. So I expect that the state government have worked on how to get supply of compressed natural gas to the distant local government, because, as I said, all the local governments will benefit from it, and they've already split Kaduna City into 3. You see the buses in Rigachukun, in Tudunwada, you see them in Kau, so that people can move from one point to another. So I'm sure that they have that covered. But if in the process of implementation problems crop up that they didn't expect, I'm sure they will be able to deal with it frontally. The governor is a very direct kind of person. He's so focused, and it shows. So I expect that they will deal with whatever challenge comes with implementing these people-centered policy.
All right, then. All right, let's move straight to our next